be sure that it is saved for those to view later. All right, it is recorded. Our microphones are muted. Very good. All right, everybody, welcome to another Principal's Coffee. Glad you are able to join us this morning. So we do have a lot to talk about today, and I apologize for the late start by a few minutes, but I had the pleasure this morning of having a shadow who Henry Swint. Henry won the auction prize to be a shadow with the principal in the morning. So he got to take some temperatures and check on teachers and monitor the middle school hallway, which is always a task, and he kept those kids in line. And so I'm very pleased to say that Mr. Swint did a really nice job of being the principal this morning. So thanks to the Swint family for that, and we'll check on with him later. So here we are. We are in May. We are approaching the end of the school year. Very exciting for everybody, but I know for us as parents, this time of year gets a little bit stressful because there's so much going on. We will all take deep breaths, and we will all together work through it to be able to get to the end and then go off to our summers. I also think it's really exciting to see a lot of the changes that are happening with regards to COVID and restrictions, et cetera. So while we may not be able to suddenly change and everybody now be in person for awards programs or certain masses, et cetera, we know there's a brighter future for those types of things, and I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, let's go on to our next slide. So this is Tag Week, everybody. Welcome to Tag Week. This is an annual thing that happens through our PTO, our spring gala, but last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the auction, and during the auction, we were able to offer a week-long event for Tag Week. It's really interesting for me when I see the kids getting out of the cars. I don't recognize them. Being in their everyday clothes, it doesn't have the same effect on me. I don't recognize the children, but it's fun. It's a fun week for everybody. But I did want to review a few items, and this mostly applies to the older grades, like the middle school level. But the dress code for Tag Days, what's most important is that if they are wearing shorts, the shorts should be beyond fingertip length for both boys and girls. They should also, if you look at our handbook, our parent-student handbook, and it's policy 3.12.2, it's called Dress for Tag Days. And on this policy, it talks about items like dresses, skirts, shorts, and all things. They must be long enough to generously cover the student's body between the waist and the knees. A general rule of thumb, no pun intended, would be fingertip length. Leggings this is a tricky one because leggings is a common piece of clothing worn by girls, but in my mind, leggings should be for a Catholic school. Leggings should be worn with a skirt or a dress. In that case, not with an oversized T-shirt or something of that nature. The idea is really to be presentable. We are a Catholic school, and we talk about modesty in our appearance and how we dress, which is one reason why we're in uniforms. So I would caution people in sending students in like ratty T-shirts or something like that.
But it doesn't.
Could everybody make sure you're muted? I'm hearing some feedback. It talks about the tops being at least 2 inches wide on the shoulders, and different things like that. Messages, inappropriate messages on clothing. We can't have stuff like that. Also, anything that reveals a midriff while sitting, standing, or reaching. Anything that's see-through or revealing. All of those items are in the handbook. But, we've done a nice job this week. And so far, it's 2 days. We've done a really nice job of coming dressed appropriately. It was just something I wanted to talk about and remind people. I take great pride in our
the kids in the playground.
Excuse me, could make sure we're all mic'd or muted. That would be great. That would be wonderful. All right.
Just ask and take it. Something is wrong with you.
All right, 1 second.
Yeah, that very same second.
There we go. Now, let's see here. Let's go ahead and talk about the mask policy. The mask policy, it came out as a little bit confusing. So the governor has loosened some restrictions on places where masks can be worn. Father Reniger in the church has gone ahead and stated that if you've been fully vaccinated, that attending mass without your mask is appropriate. It's fine. The diocese did publish a statement to church and school leaders, and that basically said that if people choose to arrive at mass without a mask on, we will permit it. The governor, in his executive order, said the exception is K-12 schools. In K-12 schools, students and staff, teachers, everybody, visitors even, in schools must wear masks. And those masks will go through the school year. So that is unchanged per the superintendent, per the governor, and we're keeping it that way. Where it gets confusing is when the school attends mass. So essentially, you're going to see staff and students in masks while attending mass, and there will be, I'm guessing, there will be some parishioners who show up and don't wear a mask. I will be meeting with Father Reniger later today to clarify this, but having already stated that rule or the allowance of no mask in church, I assume that there will be some parishioners showing in that way. But as a parent, it would be great to sort of support the school policy, and if you do come to mass, to wear your mask. We have two weeks of mass and we're done. So this conversation is a little difficult using the word mass and mask. So hopefully you picked up on what I was getting at. All righty. All right, volunteers for field day. This year we broke it down into 2 different days. We have the grades 5 through 8, which will be May 28th. It's a noon dismissal, and that's our typical field day. That's when we normally have field day. So that's going to be taking place. And then on Wednesday, June 2nd, we'll have our second field day, which is a JK through grade 4 field day. That also is a noon dismissal. And the largest part about this whole thing is the need for volunteers. It's a large undertaking that Mrs. Robinson has been organizing for quite some time. And she's been working on it for, before Christmas break, and organizing and planning and preparing. And now, especially with so many restrictions, opened up, we're welcoming volunteers to come and spend the day with the kids and support the school and ways to make this run more smoothly. Another idea, which I think is a fantastic idea, is for the little ones on Wednesday, June 2nd. If you know alumni who are graduates from here or any college kids who are home who want to volunteer, that would be a great day to come together and help with the little kids on June 2nd. So be thinking about that. Share with people you know who maybe have graduates who are coming back after college. College break is happening, and they can come out and help out June 2nd. In order to acknowledge and accept that challenge or that request, there will be a link in last week's Friday Flash, and it'll be featured again this week in the Friday Flash to volunteer. Okay, next Monday, 7 p.m. This will be our elections, basically, our PTO elections. We're going to do it outside. Very excited about this. It's going to be in the back of the school. Basically, there's a parking lot sort of behind the middle school and between the ECDC area, and it'll be right in that space. That's where we're going to plan to meet. So we're going to have our elections, but then it's going to become an outdoor social for parents. I understand it's a Monday night, not your most popular night for an evening social, but it is a time when we as a community can come together. Having elections is super important. It's required by our bylaws, and so that's why we're hosting this. So we're excited about this on next Monday night. Look forward to seeing those of you who come, seeing everybody out there. Middle school exams, those take place beginning Wednesday, May 26th, the 27th, and then They'll have their field day on the 28th. They'll have off school for Memorial Day on the 31st, and then they'll wrap them up June 1st. That Wednesday, May 26th, is a typically a mass day. That day, however, they will be not attending mass. They will be taking their exams that day. So that day is not going to be a mass day. Grade 5 will attend on Wednesday, May 26th, but 6, 7, and 8 will be taking their exams that day. A reminder too, just if you're looking ahead for vacations, etc., next year's school calendar is is posted and available on the website. So if you want to go ahead and print that out, take it home, post it on your refrigerator or whatever you do, then it'll be available to you there. All righty, next one. Spring Book Fair is continuing. It's an online book fair this spring. And we had great success back in the fall with the online book fair. And you can see here there's a coupon code, share 10, to receive 10% off your order. So I encourage you to go and check out the book fair. Kids love to receive the books. We get a kickback, obviously, through Scholastic that allows us to sort of upcycle the books that we have in our stacks. Because some of those, and Miss LaValle has done an amazing job of really sorting through what's commonly, or with those items that are not used, not read, or outdated, and moving those off the shelves and replacing them
maybe
with current text.
use it downstairs. Yeah, but yours is so heavy, I can't push it.
There we go.
Anyway.
But make sure that everybody please mute your microphone.
I need to vacuum before you do vacuum.
All right, let's go ahead now. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions to share with me?
Do it, but yes, I might need, why couldn't we put it in the hall closet?
Miss Olivencia, do you mind
Wow.
muting your microphone? Thank you. All right, any questions? You can put them in the chat or you can speak up. That would be fine too.
What did he say?
Hi, everybody. Just a quick request for the Monday social.
Yes,
Since
ma'am.
we're a new St. Mary's family, if we can have name tags, just the good old "Hi, my name is" and a Sharpie, that would be really great.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Thanks.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. Yeah, the name tags will definitely be, name tags would be a great idea for us to be able to connect and know who's who. So thank you for that suggestion. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Sure, go right ahead.
My name's Shannon Smalley. My daughter is a 6th grader, and I'm just curious because she does not turn 12 until August 18th. I was curious what the school is planning on doing with the vaccine. Like, will they make it mandatory for the fall? And if you're not able to have it because of age, like, do you have thoughts on how that's going to be handled? So
right now, there's no requirements for the vaccine in terms of attending school. That has not come out in any form yet. As I think, as you may have seen through this whole thing, things change so quickly. So there's not been any sort of mandate or expectation for the vaccines. And it's interesting because right now there's HIPAA violations of asking that question and worries with that. However, we as a school require vaccinations for other items, in their early years. So trying to see what the guidance will be soon from there. So yeah, I understand the question, but just stay tuned and we'll keep you updated. It's been my experience that you and I will hear the information at the same time. So thank you for that. So let me just be clear too. The question was, what about the mask requirement for the social? The social, yeah, we'll need to have masks if we're all in attendance, even if we're outside. But of course, upon, there will be adult beverages available, so the masks will be removed at that time. We will be outside. We are all adults, so I am okay with that. But in terms of during election and people talking, then we're going to stay masked until we turn to the social event. All right. Any other questions? I hope I was able to answer all those questions in the chat. Let me go back and look. Yeah. So field day volunteers, at this, because we're going to have chaperones, which will be the teachers and administrators and other faculty on hand. Virtues training is not required for those to volunteer at field day on that day. The virtues training typically is most important for in-school events, carpool travel, like going to, say, Maymont, where a parent is supervising a group of children. That's where it comes into being most important. But attending on the field or outside in the parking lot, in the open space with teachers, we're not going to require that this year. So that's a good question. The guidance on that does change every once in a while. There are some folks who present to us that nobody can come in the building without being virtues trained. And then there are other people who say, you know, as long as they're signed up, then they're good. But I will not put a child in a car with somebody who's not. And I will not send a child on a field trip with a parent who's not trained. That will not happen. And I've had to say no to people who've shown up with keys in hand, ready to drive kids. But it's just, I will not do that. But come one, come all to the field day. We need your help. Okay, what other questions do we have? These are all good ones. Well, I appreciate everybody's attending today. We did this again in under 20 minutes. I find these valuable. Again, as I've said before, it's a good way to connect. It actually allows me to focus some of my thoughts on what I need to share with everybody here. I feel really confident about a lot of things, and that is one. So I've been working on our continuous improvement plan for the school, and checking boxes and self-evaluating and self-assessing our school. And we're scoring high on so many areas, and that to me is super important, that we are checking the right boxes without checking boxes, if you know what I mean. We're not doing things just to check a box. It's looking and assessing where we've been and where we are, and seeing that we do meet all these requirements and we're exceeding those expectations. So that's a good thing. Another thing that I think is super important to know is also, I've spent the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and now tonight, I'll wrap it up, in IB training. So for those who don't know, our middle school is an IB middle years program, IB International Baccalaureate. And basically it's global concept of community service and collaborative study with students and teachers, et cetera. And to see what we already do in that area is fantastic. And also to see where we're headed, for the changes that have taken place, that the students who are in the younger grades, you know, coming up through, the education that they're going to receive, I mean, through this whole experience from JK through 8, is just exceptional. So what areas do we assess for the school? So assessing means really, we look at finances, and our financial situation is in a really good place right now. That's one area that we look at. We look at enrollment, and our enrollment has been really solid, but it's even beyond solid now. We've got waiting lists in almost every grade. We look at teacher employment status, in terms of, is everybody licensed, certified in their area? So all of those boxes are checked appropriately. And then we look at goals that we have in place. And I use like parent surveys. So the parent surveys that came back, and this was in one of the coffees about 3 or 4 months ago, where the survey results were amazing. Everybody was really positive about the school. So we were able to take some of those areas and say, well, what are the sort of weaker areas? The areas for opportunity. Those areas for opportunity included like extracurricular activities and athletics, service for students, those places. So those are areas that we can focus on and look to improve, because those are things that I do report to the diocese and to our accrediting agency called Cognia. And reporting to Cognia, that the parents feel like we could do more in that area, but then putting it on paper as a goal and then actually addressing that goal is so critical. So my point being with that statement is being able to state that, I feel really good about the direction we're going, getting the feedback from parents, the feedback from teachers, and then putting that feedback into action. It's a whole community involvement in terms of the direction we go. So it's just not me saying what we should be doing, but it's the community talking. So that to me is what's most important. In many other schools, you don't have that option. You don't get to be able to have that input, and we adjust what we do at our school for the sake of parent input. Lisa, you may go ahead and ask a question. I see your hand was raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just, I don't have a question. I just
Okay.
pressed inadvertently.
Oh, no worries. That's fine. I've done it before myself.
Thank you.
You betcha. All right. Any other questions? See how that feature works, though? It's great. Just raise your hand, and we can go ahead and work through the question. All right. Well, thank you all so much. So this will probably be the final Principal's Coffee for the year, as we only have 2.5 weeks or so. I just want to make sure that I do remind everybody there is that calendar change that we are doing. June 2nd is a noon dismissal, right? So June 2nd and June 3rd are noon dismissals. Also, May 28th is a noon dismissal. You know what? While we're at it, should we just make June 1st noon? That's the only day of the week that's not. I'm kidding. We're not doing that. So May 28th, June 2nd, June 3rd are all noon dismissals. There will be more communication about that coming out, but I just want to repeat it here. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. The weather's warming up. And one other thing, real quick. For that field day, the June 2nd field day and the 28th, make sure that you bring a water bottle, sunscreen, and those items. Lather them up in sunscreen on that day. Bring a water bottle so we can refill it. We just want to make sure that the kids are appropriately hydrated and not getting burned. So that's all I've got now. You all have a great day, and we'll catch up again soon. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.